ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णा प्रेम प्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णा चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरद्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य तोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थे सुभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। Reading from Sri Priti Sandarbha. This is Mangala Charana. So we have completed the first 5 Sandarbhas and this is the last one. In Tatu Sandarbha, Sri Jiva Goswami said that he will explain 3 topics, Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojana in these 6 books. The first 4 are about the Sambandha, 5th one is Abhidheya and this is Prayojana. So Prayojana is important because Prayojanam vina mandopi na pravartate. Whenever we do something, we have some purpose why we are doing it. And it is Prayojana only which inspires us to act. So without Prayojana, without purpose, without goal, nobody wants to do anything. So therefore it is also important to know this. Then this is the biggest of all the Sandarbhas. It has, I think, 429 Anuchedas. Bhakti Sandarbha has 340. Krishna Sandarbha, I think, 177. And then before that 109 less. 63 is Tattva Sandarbha. So this is quite big. And whenever I try to teach it, I was not successful. First time I was teaching it in ISKCON, then problem came and I had to leave ISKCON. I have completed the first 5 there teaching, and then it came to Priti Sandarbha. Then here also similar thing happened. So let's hope that this time we will go through it. Even producing Priti Sandarbha, we have printed the first 5 and we are facing problem. Or one of the editors, Jagdananda, you know that he is very sick. And now only I realize why he was, even when he was here, he was little bit, when it came to asking for file, why you are not working, there was not proper reply, or he will not reply, yes, I will do it. And once he left from here, it's 2 years now. Very difficult to communicate. Anyway, somehow Malti was able to get the files back from him, and in the winter break I want to complete. Only one big file is remaining. So hopefully we can bring it out. But it's already 3 years we are working on it. And definitely more than 1 year it will still take. So it has taken more than any other Sandarbha. Of course it is big also. So as much as Bhakti Sandarbha is very practical, there is nothing practical about it here. It's all understanding and in the air. As they say, love is in the air. So this is the Priti Sandarbha. So we read the Mangalacharan, then we will get into the subject. So Sri Jiva Goswami did Mangalacharan in the beginning of Tattva Sandarbha, and at the beginning of each Sandarbha he repeats 2 slokas. Out of them one comes in the Tattva Sandarbha, also in the Tattva Sandarbha, another one is a like combination of 2 slokas, he makes one out of that. So tau santoshayata santau srila rupa sanatanau dakshinatyena bhattena punar etad vivichyate. For the pleasure of the 2 sages, Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami, I am rearranging this book compiled by Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who was born in South India. Tasyadyam granthana kranta vitkranta khanditam paryalocyat paryayam kritva likhati jivaka. Some parts of his book were in order, some were out of order, while others were incomplete or missing. After thorough deliberation, Sri Jiva now writes this Priti Sandarbha in the appropriate order. So he is basically acknowledging the work of Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So of course recently there was a lot of talk, which is the modern style, that Jiva Goswami did not write Sandarbhas. He is just editing them. This was written by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And besides that, he himself is mentioning it, there is no other proof. So at least they should acknowledge that he is saying, if he did not write these 2 slokas, no one will have any clue that Sri Gopal Bhattu Goswami did the original work of this book. But now to say that it is only his and not of Jiva Goswami, that is taking it to the other extreme. So wherever you read, whether it is Chaitanya Charitamrita by Sri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, who was a contemporary, so he attributes Sandarbhas to Jiva Goswami. And Jiva Goswami himself says that Punar etad vivichyate, that he again deliberates. And then he says Likhati Jivaka, the Jiva is writing it. He's writing himself. So it is clear that he wrote, but obviously Sri Gopal Bhattu Goswami has done some work, there is no doubt about that, where he gives more details in Tatu Sandarbha about that. Where he says that Kopi tad bandhava bhatto dakshina dvija vansaja vivichya velikitad grantham likitad vriddha vaishnavai. That some senior Vaishnava who was a friend of Rupa and Sanatan and who is from Brahmana family from South India. So he wrote this Sandarbha on the basis of citing from the Vriddha Vaishnavas. And then in commentary, Sri Jiva Goswami says Vriddha Vaishnava here means Sri Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Sridhar Swami. 3 names. But before that he wrote Jayatam Mathura Bhumo, Srila Rupa Sanatano, Yau Vilekhayata Tattvam Gyapakau Pustikam Imam. That all glories to Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, who are glorious here in the land of Mathura, who have engaged me in writing this book. So it is also very clear that he was specifically asked to write it, and then he acknowledges that Gopal Bhattu Goswami has already done some work on this. So there is no doubt that Gopal Bhattu Goswami did the original work, but it does not mean that Jiva Goswami did not do anything or he is just repeating it, because he himself says that this book is Vitkrant Khandit, means what he got was not sufficient. So my understanding is that probably he was just writing some notes and conceiving to write, but did not complete, and he gave it to Jiva Goswami, who completed it. Because it says Tasya Adya Granthana Lekham Krant Vitkranta Khanditam. So Krant means some things were in order and some things were not in order, means some ideas were there and some were just lost, Khandita. So by seeing that, because it says Paryalochya, means he went over it and from that he extracts and then he writes Paryalochya Paryayam Kritva Likhati Jivaka. So there is also commentary. There are 3 commentaries available on Tatu Sandarbha, and all of them attribute this to Jiva Goswami. One of them writes, Yen sanrachitam moolam sa Sri Jivo dayanidhi shaktim sancharayatu asmin vibrate parilekhane. Says, let Sri Jiva Goswami, who is the author of the original work, may inspire me or empower me to write this commentary on this Tattva Sandarbha. But anyway, it doesn't matter if people want to believe that it is by him and Jiva Goswami just editing or whatever, I don't know. That's fine. There's no difference. Gopal Bhattu Goswami is as worshipable and as qualified as Jiva Goswami. So Anucheda 1. So first he explains what is the need for writing this. Because when something is written, you have to explain why are you writing, what is the need to do that, and also why is it being written after Bhakti Sandarbha. So he says, Atha Priti Sandarbho Lekhyaha. Now the treatise on divine love, Priti Sandarbha, is to be written. So now means that after he has completed the other two subjects. This is called Avasara Sangati, or what you call relationship, that how it is related. So he said earlier that he will explain Sambandha, Abhidhaya and Prayojana. So Sambandha and Abhidhaya has been described. Now it's time to explain Prayojana. So that is the relationship, correlation between this book and the previous one. So it is a continuation of that. And he explains this, Iha khalu Shastra Pratipadyam Paramatattvam hi Sandarbha Chatushtayena Purvam Sambaddham. So he says that in this regard, the supreme reality, Param Tattva, which is the subject matter to be set forth in the scriptures, has been firmly established previously in the first four Sandarbhas. So the first four Sandarbhas are the most elaborate explanation of the Tattva. There is no other work like this where you will find such a clear explanation what is Brahman, what is Paramatma, what is Bhagwan, and then what is Swam Bhagwan. There is no other work anywhere. There may be the explanations, but such detailed explanation is not found anywhere. So therefore he says that this Sandarbha Chatushtayena, that with this Sandarbha, four Sandarbhas, Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavat Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha and Krishna Sandarbha. So what is the Tattva? Vadanti tat tattvadas tattvam is jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdate. So that is actually the sloka which is the basis of the first four books. First three, because the fourth one, Krishna Sandarbha, is based on Krishnastu Bhagavan. Ete chamskala punsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So that is based on that. But still, because he is Swam Bhagavan, it is still related to that verse. So these two slokas, they make the basis of the first four books. And then comes Bhakti, which is the Abhidhaya, which is elaborately explained in Bhakti Sandarbha. So that he says that Tadupasana cha tadanantar sandarbhena abhihita. So first the object of worship, and then in the next book the process to worship. So first he explained who should be worshipped. So that was described in the early first four books. And then naturally how to worship and why worship, or is there any other process. So then comes the fourth one. And the method of worship of that reality has been explained in the succeeding volume. So that is in Bhakti Sandarbha. And tatkram praptatvena prayojanam khalu adhuna vivichyate. And now in keeping with the sequential order, the work, the completion state to be attained, prayojana, will be examined. So prayojana comes from the dhatu yuj, means to unite, because you have a goal with which you want to unite. That's why it's called prayojana. You want to reach there, right? Goal, destination, or to be attained, sadhya, that is prayojana. Means whatever you are performing, your practice, because you want to have that. You want to have union, unity, or acquire, attain, be with it. So that's why it is called prayojana. So that is to be explained, that if there is absolute reality and you do devotion to that, so what is the outcome? What will you achieve from that? Because those people who perform karma yoga, they have a prayojana, they want to go to heaven. Those who are doing yoga, then they want some power. Jnana yoga, they want moksha. That is the purpose they are doing. So what is the purpose of bhakti? Especially when you define bhakti anyabhilasita sunyam, jnana karmadi anavritam. So that you should not have any other desire, not desire for heaven, not desire for moksha, jnana karmadi. And anukulyena krishna anusilanam bhakti, but you should do bhakti. So obviously the question comes, why should one do? Because nobody wants to do anything just like that. If somebody comes to meet you, then you ask, why have you come? Because if somebody leaves one's own place and goes somewhere, there must be some purpose, otherwise why is he going? So what is the purpose? So that is being explained here. So this purpose is important so that you feel inspired that I'm going to attain something very wonderful. So that inspiration comes by knowing the fruit. That's why in the Shastra there is so much description of phalartha, rochanartha, phalashruti. That if you do this, this will happen. If you do parikrama, then this will happen. If you fast on Ekadasi, this will happen. If you read one chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this will happen. If you chant the holy name, all your sins are gone. If you clap in the kirtan, right? If you dance, if you worship, for everything there is always some fruit which is described. And then they say that don't do it for fruit. It's amazing, right? So they allure you and they say, no, don't ask for it. Say anyabhilashita. But just like there is niskam karma, so there are two types of karma, niskam karma and sakam karma. So sakam karma means that when you perform some ritual, some religious act to attain some fruit, that is called sakam. And niskam means that you do it without any wish like that. But does it mean that niskam karma will not give any fruit? Because if you perform any action, some result will come from that. So niskam karma leads to sarva karma akhilam partha jnane parisamapyate. So that leads to jnana, which leads to moksha. So niskam karma leads to moksha. Karmanai bhi samsiddhim astita jankadaya. So you attain. So this, although it is said niskam, that does not mean that there is no fruit. Niskam means that the person is not performing it with any specific fruit. So similarly, there is sakam bhakti and niskam bhakti. So sakam bhakti is performed because somebody wants some benefit, some boon, some blessings. And niskam without any such wish. But that does not mean that it does not give anything. So then what comes out of it, that is what is described as Priti or Prema. So that happens. So that will be described here in this book. So what is the prayojana? First he talks about that. He says, Purusha prayojanam tavat sukha prapti dukkha nivrittischa. The purpose of human life is the attainment of happiness and the elimination of pain. So this is what everybody wants. So Sri Jiva Goswami does not immediately say you will get Priti, you will get this. He says what is, because prayojan. So what is the prayojan of human being? He goes very logically so that you cannot say that no, I don't want to do bhakti. If you understand this, you'll say, oh really, I want to do bhakti. So nobody can deny that this is not the prayojana. We say that there are four purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama and moksha. But not everybody agrees to that. There are people who say, no, I am not interested in artha. I am not interested in kama. And there are so many who say, I am not interested in dharma. And there is a big number of people now. And moksha, hardly anybody. But you ask anybody, yes, I want to be happy. So whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, it doesn't matter what you believe in. And what you are, it doesn't matter. What background, what education, what gender, which country, birth, qualification, doesn't matter. It is very clear that we all want happiness. And more important than happiness is that we don't want to suffer. Because if you have suffering, then you say, I will take care of the suffering later on, let me first enjoy. No, first you want to get rid of the suffering. Then you can think of enjoyment. So this is the prayojana which is common to all human beings, in fact all living beings. But here we are only concerned about human beings. Therefore he says Purusha prayojana. So Purusha prayojanam tavat sukh prapti dukha nivrittisya. So this is the direct thing which we want. That I want happiness and I want to eliminate suffering. And everybody has experience of suffering. There is nobody who does not have experience of suffering. And everybody has some experience of happiness also. Only thing is that they are not stable. And they are not enough. We want happiness, but we never get it enough. It's like you're hungry and you get the meal, but you don't get enough. And then sometimes you don't get it, or you get it which is not to your liking. So you're suffering even while eating. So this is everybody's experience, and therefore everybody is working for this. So if you analyze activities of any human being, this is the ultimate purpose that they are trying to achieve without knowing it. Nobody actually sits down and then makes a program like that I want these two things. So that shows that this is something which is natural to us. When we have to tell people that you should go to school, college so that you can make money, that you have to preach to that person. Or you should follow dharma, you have to preach. But for this you don't have to preach. Because kama and out of 4 purusharthas, kama and moksha you don't have to preach. Moksha means freedom from suffering. That's what it means. Moksha means liberation. Liberation from what? From something we don't like. And that's what we say, I want to be liberated from this. So moksha means freedom from suffering, and kama means enjoyment, happiness. So actually these are the two purusharthas which are natural. Natural tendency for kama and moksha. Although people do not know this. No training required for this. No education required for that. Means for the desire. But to actually have it you need training. But no one has to preach to you that you should desire happiness or you should not suffer. People may have to preach to you that you want to make money while sitting at home these days. A lot of talk about that. Or how to become a millionaire. How to make this much money. So for that there is preaching, and for that they are charging money. And for dharma also. You should follow dharma. So much preaching for that. But no preaching for kama. Nobody preaches to you, you should enjoy. Or you should not suffer. So that's why out in the list of 4 purusharthas, these two have been put at the end. Because the first two are not the direct purusharthas. They are actually to get the other two. Dharma and artha are not purushartha in themselves. They are only means. Purushartha are only two. kama and moksha, which is sukh prapti and dukh nivritti. Another two are means for that. So basically what we want is happiness and means for happiness. Dukh nivritti, removal of suffering, and the means for removal of suffering. So that's how it becomes four. Otherwise, really it is two. And then there can be more variety of that. Sometimes you can also give up happiness to gain more happiness. Right? Or you can accept suffering to gain happiness. Or you can accept suffering to get rid of bigger suffering. Or to get happiness. So those are different combinations. But the ultimate thing is only to get sukh prapti and dukha nivritti. But there are various means for that. So basically there are two processes for this. One is the material process, other is the spiritual process. So material process is of the science, modern science. Modern science is also trying to do that. It's trying to give you happiness and make your life free from suffering. Whatever they are inventing, either they are inventing that it will give you comfort, right? Or they are inventing that it will alleviate your suffering. Whether it is medicines or or they are making a nice pillow for you, right? So that you don't get neck pain. Should sit in the computer like this. So all these things are designed so that you don't suffer and you feel comfort. So science is also doing like that. But its limitation is that it works only at the physical level. But we have three types of suffering. The suffering which comes from our own self, our own mind and body, right? Our body, which is actually meant to give us pleasure, is also meant to give us suffering. That we don't know. We love this body so much, all that gives a lot of trouble. Why? Because it gives little pleasure also. So for that little pleasure, we maintain the body, which gives a lot of trouble. Otherwise, there is nothing which gives more trouble than our own body to us. If you make calculation from birth to death, it gives hell a lot of suffering. So kaya kasya na vallabha. Yet we like it. So ya priya sa priya eva hai. One who is dear to you is dear to you even if it gives you hell. That is the body. So because we have hope that we can enjoy this body. Otherwise in Sanskrit it is called bhoga ayatanam. Right? This is how Nyaya defines. What is body? Bhoga ayatanam shariram. Sharir is an instrument for you to suffer and enjoy. Simple. But we forget the first part. We only think of the second one, enjoying. No, it's also the first one. The other type of suffering comes from other people. Right? Mosquitoes, human beings, monkeys, dogs. Anybody can make you suffer. Rats. And the third type of suffering comes from nature. Too much cold, too much suffering, hot, heavy rain, no rain, tsunami, earthquake, all this global warming, air pollution. Of course, air pollution created by human beings. So various types of sufferings come. So science is also working to counteract that. But the suffering which comes from your own self, that because of your karma that they are not aware of that. So their range is much limited. They don't know the law of karma. So therefore they have nothing to counteract that. They believe only in one lifespan. So they work on that principle, and that makes them very much limited. Because there are many things which are beyond one lifespan. So they have no program for that. How to avoid problems. If some problem is coming from past life, they have no solution for that. They don't believe in it. So how can they have solution? So therefore dharma goes beyond science. And because it goes beyond science, the science doesn't like it. Because it attacks their ahankara. That these people are stupid, what they're talking about. God, this, that. So things which they cannot explain, then they say this is all imagination. So otherwise, the spiritual path is also trying to do this, science is also trying to do this. So this, they have a common ground. Their approaches are different. So we can take help from them, they can also take help from us if they are open-minded. We are open-minded. Not always. There are some spiritualists who are also closed-minded for science. Some people say, I will not take medicine. Right? Some devotees are like that. I will not take medicine. Why? So we should be open-minded, take help. Because what they are discovering, and if it works, why not? If this is our prayojana and it helps me in my prayojana, why shall I not take it? What is the reason not to take? So even if they don't take our teachings, we can take benefit from them. So he says, then when it comes to spiritual path, spiritual side, then we have different types of processes. So there are other religions, they talk about going to heaven. Not very clear what they mean by heaven, whether it is temporary. For us, heaven is temporary. So therefore, we don't want to have a solution which gives temporary solution. That process which gives me a temporary solution, that is not very desirable. If I have to solve the problem, why not solve it once for all? If it is possible. If I have a choice to find a solution that I can solve my problem so that it will not recur, then I take that. Why shall I take a solution in which the problem can come again? And then I have to again work on it. Or it gives another problem. So I solve one problem, it creates another problem, then I solve that, then it creates another problem. So that's not a good solution. So then we have paths, karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, raja yoga, right? So these paths give solution. Some of the solutions are temporary. Karma yoga says you can swarga kamo yajet, agnihotrena juyat, swarga kama. So you go to swarga, yanna dukkhena sambhinnam. So which nacha grastam anantaram. Abhilasopunitam cha tatsukam swaspadam padam. So they define Swarga as a place of happiness, there is no suffering there. Like everybody speaks of Swarga like that, heaven. Heaven is a nice place. But it is temporary. Even if it is the way it is described, it is temporary. They only describe only one side of it. There are problems there also. Because everybody is not equal there. Indra has more enjoyment, so when you will see him, you feel jealous of him. Jealousy is there in the heaven also. Indra himself is quite jealous and he is scared of others. Anyone can take. If you are on a high post, there is a fear that somebody is going to throw you down. So therefore he is always worried, putting so many obstacles. And then they also get attacked by asuras. Bali Maharaj goes there. And they have to run, they take their backpack, little food in it and run from there. So they also have anxiety. Then there is anxiety how long you are going to be there. Because once your time is over, then you get kicked out. So that is also bothering you, that it's not permanent place. I have to leave it one day. So it's also not so attractive. Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam kshine punye marte lokam vishanti. So then you have to again come back. So the permanent solution is either moksha, and beyond that is Priti, which is the subject here. So that's what it says. It says, Sri Bhagavat Prita Utu Sukhatvam Dukkha Nivartakatvam Cha Atyantikam Iti. So this is a very soothing statement by him. He says it is, however, only in the state of divine love for Bhagavan that beatitude and freedom from suffering reach their absolute zenith of development. So this is the best solution. And we also have liking for it. Everybody wants some love. Only thing is that the love which he is talking is different from the love which we are familiar with. So that is a very big difference, and it is a big difficulty to understand what he is going to speak here. Because if we want to learn something about which we know nothing, then it is easy to understand. In comparison, if you know something but you know it wrongly, then it becomes very difficult, because first you have to undo it and then learn. So that story that two people went to learn guitar from a teacher. So the teacher asked, that, do you have some experience? And he says, yes, I have been learning for 6 years. So he says, play. Show me what you know. So he played. So he says, I will charge you $250 per hour. Then he asked the other person, says, you also know? He says, no, I don't know anything. I'm completely fresh. So he says, I'll charge you $100 per hour. So the other guy was very surprised. He says, I know, and I have practiced for 6 years, and you're charging me more than the double, 2.5 times than this guy who knows nothing. He's a novice. So he says, yes. With him, I don't have to work much hard. With you, you will always say, no, it is not like that. But what about this? So first I have to undo, because you know everything wrong. So it is something like that, because love is not something which is unknown to us. Everybody has heard the word love. Everybody has used the word love. And everybody is in love with something. If not anything, at least in chocolate. So, but hardly anybody knows what is love. It is so amazing that something which we are so familiar with, we are also so unfamiliar with it. And the reason for this is this only, that when you become too much familiar, you don't know that. As they say, familiarity breeds contempt. So contempt means not caring. So we have heard this word love, love, love all the time from our childhood, especially not now. Now, these days. Previously, we never heard this word. But now, parents are always saying, I love you, right? Everybody is saying love, love, love. So when you use some word too much, then it loses its value. Like if you eat something every day, you're not eager to eat it. Right? You say, "Ye kya hai, roz wohi, every day same thing. Dada, make something different." Because we are not cow that we can eat the same grass every day, 3 times a day and not get bored. Human beings get bored, right? If they do the same, they eat the same food, same cloth every day, then what is this? Unless you are a sadhu, you can wear the same color every day, no problem. So when you do something repeatedly, you do it mechanically. Like you drive car, in the beginning you are very attentive when you learn how to drive. Once you learn how to drive, then you are driving, you are not aware of it. So similarly, we have become unaware, insensitive to the word love. What does it really mean? Nobody bothers to ask this. If you ask anybody that, are you in love? He will talk about something about love. And if you ask, what is the definition of love? He cannot tell. So we have not been taught and we have also not deliberated upon. There are so many words which we use in our life without knowing their meaning. We just hear it, and because we have been hearing from our childhood, we tend to think that we know it. So this is one of the big misconceptions about love, that we think we know it when we know nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. When you will see Paramatma, this Priti Sandarbha, then we will realize that we don't know anything. Not only about this, but even about material love. People don't know what it is. You may say, well, I feel it. That is good. But what is it? Because if I am trying to get something better, I know it. Everybody wants to have love. But if I want to have it love seriously, then I should also know it seriously. Without knowing it, I don't know what I am getting into is love or something else. And then it happens, we get into something, we call it love, then we realize that it's not love. Then we want to get out of it and again get into another similar situation. So here he is going to explain this, what is actually love and how to get it. Process he has already given, but it will still come again. We'll hint to that. So this, therefore we have to undo it. I'm again repeatedly saying it, that it is very difficult to understand love, especially the one which he is going to explain. Because as soon as we hear the word love, we think, in our samskara, we think, oh, this is what he is saying. He is not saying that. So we have to hear it carefully and repeatedly and deliberate. Then it may sink into us, what is he trying to say. I said this in Bhakti Sandarbha also again and again. Bhakti is difficult to understand because Bhakti and love is the same thing. Bhakti is another word for it. But there he was talking about sadhana bhakti. So it is difficult to understand. And we think we know it. And another thing we think is that it is easy to attain it. We all have the idea that love is very easy. It's very simple. And then the third thing we think is that I am qualified for it. No one thinks that I am qualified for love or not qualified for love. Nobody thinks like that. So we have to also know what is the qualification. So because of even if people want to have material relationship and material loving relationship, they should know what it is and what is the qualification required for that. What to speak of the spiritual. So therefore there is a material love and there is a spiritual love. Material love in the material world, spiritual love in the spiritual world. But he is not making these two distinctions. He is going to use the word love. So remember that when he is using the word Priti here, he means spiritual and not the material. Otherwise we will impose our ideas, our thoughts, our understanding onto it, and then we'll miss the boat. So we have to be careful about that. So in Bhagavad Priti, therefore, as we will study, but he lays the principle in the very beginning that it is eternal happiness and eternal freedom from suffering. Why is that? Because we have already studied that the root cause of our suffering is anadi avidya. And that is beginningless ignorance. And ignorance about what? Ignorance about Bhagavan and our relationship with Him. So that would be uprooted. And once that is uprooted, then naturally the happiness is there, because Priti is, its nature is happiness. That's why we want love. Why we are looking for love? Because love is happiness. In fact, there is no other happiness. Even material happiness which we get from everything, because we have some love for it. Even if it is chocolate, because you love it. That's why we say, I love chocolate, I love pasta, I love whatever. Even food we say. So something you like which gives you happiness, say, I love it. Loving it. Right? So love and happiness are actually synonyms, because happiness is the core of love. But it is not material happiness. That's why it does not come to an end. It is not a product of sattva guna. It is antaranga shakti of Bhagavan. And it is absolute freedom from suffering. Dukkha nivartakam, because suffering comes out of avidya, so it removes that. So that's what is being discussed here, that's what we will study here. So today I will stop here, because he will start speaking about the next, yes.
These three things that you said that people think about love, that I know what it is simple and unqualified. It sounds to me like also that's what people think about their own mind. So is working with your own mind kind of related to this in terms of what you have to do before you can do the next step?
Yeah, you have to know yourself. Mind is a very essential part, because whatever you do it through your mind.
Yeah. But it's also very hard.
We already did this in bhakti. Man manabhav mad bhakta. Fix your mind on me.
But they have to know what their mind is, which means they have to know there's some scars, their ahankara, how they affect other people, all that. But everybody thinks it's simple. And then everybody thinks they're qualified, so they don't need help.
Yeah, not only everybody thinks it's simple, they think they don't need to know it. They already know it.
Thank you.
Tanmaji.
Normally, there is a Purva Paksha that has been raised based on the Priti Sandarbha which what we're discussing now. I think I discussed it before with you, and I just wanted to raise it here. So the Purva Paksha goes like this, that Priti is inherent in the Atma, and this is why Jiva Goswami is teaching that the Atma searches for Priti. And it's not absence of suffering that the Atma is searching for, it's actually searching for happiness, positive happiness, which is Priti. And so they quote this first Purusha Prayojanam that you covered today, Tavat Sukha Prapti Vruddha Niduktischa. The purpose of human life is a Sukha and elimination of Dukkha. So they say that this Sukha is looking for love. Everyone's looking for love, and this shows that there is love inside the Atma. And so my response to it was that the Sukha that is Jiva Goswami is mentioning is not Priti. It is commonly the common understanding of material sukha, which we have discussed in previous classes, is just a reduction in suffering. What we consider sukha is just a reduction in suffering, and not, positive bliss. Because they take this sukha as searching for Priti, and then they say that we cannot explain why we are looking for love. We cannot explain it because for us, love is not our nature, inherent nature. We should only search for absence of suffering and not for prema or Priti.
So let's not go about positive suffering, negative suffering. My question to you is that if Priti is inherent in us, why are we looking for it?
That's obviously the question. There is no answer to that. But this is the Purva-paksha.
But if there is no answer, then this Purva-paksha is defeated.
Yeah.
Because if something is inherent, then you don't look for that. Sugar has inherent sweetness in it. Then sugar is not searching, how can I become sweet? How can you search for something which you are having inherently? If it was agantuka, if it was incidental, then sometimes you have it and other times when you don't have it, you search for it. So why is that we are looking for happiness and everybody is looking for it? And everybody has inherently embedded inside. So why are we looking then?
So then the question is why are, in our opinion, why are we looking for it? Because they say you can't justify why we're looking for it.
No, because we
you can
don't.
only justify by looking for a cessation of suffering,
No,
not why looking.
Yeah, so I can justify it that I'm suffering and I want to get rid of my suffering. And Priti is the solution, that's what he's saying. That in Priti there is Sukh Prapti, Dukh Nivartakatva. I'm suffering, and everybody will agree that everybody suffers. And I already said that there are two solutions. One is temporary solution, like what modern science or modern technology or some other means. And here is a permanent solution. And because everybody suffers, that's why everybody is looking for love. Even people who have a lot of wealth, money, power, position, they also want love because that doesn't give them satisfaction. They still suffer. If I had love inherent in me, why would I look for it outside? I will look for it inside.
What you watch?
Could it also be that the search for karma and moksha are natural for everyone, for every living being, you explained in the beginning? Because there's some universal karma, some universal samskara that everyone has, or?
Say it, why I did not say it and you are proposing it, so you tell me, what is that universal samskara? I mean, you propose something and then you ask me. I did not say that.
No. I mean, my question is, why is it natural for every living being to search for that? What I understood in your class is that that everyone is searching for it, for absence of suffering, but why is that?
Why is that? Because we are conscious being. So we can have experience. And there is a favorable experience and there is an unfavorable experience. So that is the nature of consciousness, to have favorable experience and avoid unfavorable experience. So now you say, why it is like this? That's how it is. That's how consciousness is. That it can feel, and there are two ways to feel, that you can feel something which is favorable, likable, and there is other feeling which is unlikable. So therefore you don't like the unlikable one and you like the likable one. What is likable is called sukha or happiness, what is unlikable is called suffering or dukkha.
So, Babaji, maybe I
Yes.
can come back to, I just thought of some more about this. So, one of the arguments you made in the past is that every human being wants to escape suffering. And you explained that that is because the Atma's inherent nature is that there is no suffering in the Atma. Absolutely none. And so, when we are not disturbed mentally or there is no suffering in the mind, then we are in our natural state. We are in what we are. We are absence of suffering kind of being. So their argument is the same way. I think they're using our argument in another way. They're saying we have Priti inside of us.
We have what?
Priti inside of us. Like I say, we have inherent absence of suffering. Instead of they replace that with they have inherent Priti in them. Then they say the problem is right now we don't get that Priti outside.
Now, why you need outside? You see, I'm hungry. Then I look for food because I'm hungry. So I'm looking for food. But if I'm already having food in my stomach, why do I look for food outside?
But then how do we respond to the same criticism to us that we say we are inherently free of suffering, and then we are like using that as a reason hetu to say that the human being looks for absence of suffering.
Because I'm giving the reason for that. We identify because of avidya. We think that I'm the body. And body is a disturbance. That's what I said, bhogayatanam shariram. So then I'm trying to get rid of that here materially all the time. It doesn't work. So the solution is to get rid of that. But if you have Priti, you cannot identify with the body.
Right. That's where it fails. Yeah. Thank you.
Because you have to understand that Priti, you see, that's why I'm saying that people use words without knowing their meaning. When you say that it has inherent Priti, then Priti has got Ashraya and Vishaya. So that means you are saying that Atma is Ashraya of Priti, and it has it. Then that Priti is it is never without a Vishaya. It has a subject of love. I don't know whether that will be the right word. Let's say object of love. Probably that will make better sense. So it has to have, so that if you have it, then you will know Krishna. You will not identify with the body. Then you will know that I love Krishna and I have love inside me, and this love is a relationship. You cannot say that it has love and it doesn't know Krishna. That means you don't know what is love. Just like I am angry, I am so angry. So natural question, at whom are you angry? I don't know. I have forgotten that I am angry. I have forgotten at whom I am angry, but I am angry. Anger is inherent in me. Think of like this, that I have an inherent anger. And then I am looking for anger outside. So, what a stupid statement is that, that I have inherent anger. I have so much anger inside, and I'm looking outside something so that I can get angry. Krishna Saran Baba.
Babaji, just for fun, I just wanted to chime in that on this topic, the point that often I've heard raised is that Priti is inherent, the Vishoy for Priti is Bhagavan, and the reason we don't know Bhagavan, the reason we don't feel this Priti is Maya. We're in Maya, and that's why this nature of ourselves is suppressed, and that's why we do sadhana to remove the Maya, and then the Priti and everything about the Priti and the object, all the awareness, it just becomes, we become aware of it when the Maya is gone.
So this is what I'm saying. This only shows your ignorance about Priti. Because Priti is not Maya, and Priti cannot be influenced by Maya. Priti is Antaranga Shakti of Bhagavan, And no Maya can cover it, no Maya can influence it. And if you have Priti, you cannot forget Bhagavan. It's not possible. If you understand, that's why you have to understand. I'm saying again, that try to understand. Of course, you know it, but those who think like this, that shows that they have not understood what is Priti. They have not understood what it means to be the Ashraya Priti and Vishaya Priti. When Priti is there, there's a constant remembrance of the object of love. Madguna Shruti Matrene, Mai Sarva Guhase, Manogati Ravichinna, Yatha Gangam Sambhadav. Unbroken flow of thought will go towards Krishna if there is a Priti. Just like now, because we do not have Priti, our unbroken thought goes only to matter. Even when we sit down and do japa and try to think, it doesn't go there. If inherent was there, it should immediately hook on to that. If there was a Priti inside me, and even if you think, okay, some Maya has come and I have forgotten, as soon as you do chant the name, it should immediately remind you. And you should immediately become fixed. You should immediately get situated in the bhava, which happens to some people, that they did some offense and something happened, then when that is over, immediately, like so many stories like that, some little incident, Bilva Mangal Thakur, immediately is transported. Because he had it, but because of whatever offense, this, that, it was blocked. So if we have that inherent love inside, it will come out when you do your sadhana. Here you are doing sadhana and the mind is going one way, tongue is going another way. And then inherent thing is going another way. Bhushanji.
Babaji Pranams, I had a question on this goal of everybody is Sukha, and that makes sense. So my doubt is that if we see previously 100 years ago, people are more peaceful, things are more stable, and now we see it's more chaos. Having seen, so my question is, how is this, if people seek happiness, they were happy before, but now as a society, people are not happy now. How is it that this peacefulness and happiness which was there was disturbed by all of this Rajasic and Tamasic samskaras, if there was like an inherent desire to experience peacefulness and happiness?
No, just like if I ask you that you are disturbed, please come to Vrindavan, live here in ashram, and you won't agree to it. You'll say, no, I'm happy here, although you are disturbed.
Yes.
So this is the foolishness of people. They don't want to take the good advice. It's like children, So they think they're smart. Now everybody thinks that they're smart. Scientists also, they think that they know better. But the thing is that they invent something and they don't know the effect it is going to bring, because their vision is very limited. Their intentions are good, but their vision is limited. So they come up with some medicine, just example of any medicine. So they think, okay, this is going to cure cancer. But they do not know that what else it can create. So here, these sages, they have their holistic view. Their vision is not limited like us. So they can see what problems it can create, and that's why they gave a solution. But now we don't want to take that, because they think that this is all suppressing feelings, it's taking away my freedom. This guy is trying to make me his slave, because he says surrender, shelter, this, that. People are, as soon as they hear the word shelter, surrender, this, that, guru, then they say, no, I'm happy without it.
Okay, so then I would say that there's a lack of education, because if I remember, my great-great-grandparents are much peaceful, my grandparents were less, my parents were even more worse, and I am even more disturbed. So
yes.
It is because of this, education has been degraded every generation, and that's why all of the bad samskaras come at every generation.
And you're doing a great welfare, not creating another generation. Because we don't know what that will be.
Yeah.
Yes, this is education. Okay, Sandeep ji.
So, I have one doubt that like Priti is a Antaranga Shakti of Bhagavan. Priti is Antaranga Shakti of Bhagavan.
Yes.
Right? So, and we also understood in through Bhagavatam that Atma, although it is Tatastha, which is a higher energy than material energy, but still it comes under the influence of material energy because of, well, it is Maya, because it's Bhagavan's whatever Leela or whatever, it is inexplicable why it is coming under the influence of material nature. So if this Priti is Antaranga Shakti, and once this Priti pervades the Atma, and then why that doesn't come under the, if the person is still in the material world, so then why doesn't this one come under the influence of material energy?
Yeah, because this is Antaranga Shakti. Antaranga is non-different from Krishna himself. Then what you are saying is that Krishna is coming under the influence.
But then Tatastha can come.
Arre Baba, that's why you have to know what is Tatastha and what is Antaranga. If they are same, they are not same. You know what is Antaranga Shakti?
Yes.
What is Antaranga?
That is Krishna himself.
So if I can overpower you, that means I can overpower your Antaranga Shakti only. Because overpowering you means overpowering your Antaranga Shakti. So if I can overpower your Antaranga Shakti means I can overpower you. So what you are saying is that Maya can overpower Krishna. That's what you are saying.
Okay. But Maya can overpower Atma.
Because he is Tatastha. You have your servant. So somebody can overpower that. Who is not very powerful. You are the king and you have a servant. Somebody can overpower that, but not you. Maya is another servant of Krishna. Tatastha is another one. They cannot overpower Krishna, neither Tatastha. Otherwise, how he will be the Ishvara then? Then Maya will become supreme. Then it will be just a change of name. Then what you have to say is that Krishna is Maya and Maya is Krishna. There has to be one person who is supreme. And if that is overpowered by another one, he is not supreme. So what is the sense in saying that Ishvara is Parama Krishna? That Krishna is supreme Ishvara.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Anything else?
Is about this force that all the embodied being we have for avoiding the suffering and searching for happiness. So my question is, when exactly will happen that this force will not push anymore?
Which force?
This idea that we need to find the happiness and we want to avoid that is innate in us. Nobody wants to suffer, everybody wants
So
to...
then why you think that it will not push you?
No, I'm saying this is pushing all the time. Every action is behind the action is this intention. So now, in love, there is not this force behind, because we are not concerned anymore about our own happiness in that sense.
Yeah, but if this love is happiness only, this is what he's saying.
Yeah, that's why.
So then, there are two ways of getting happiness. One is that you are looking for happiness. Another way of getting happiness is by giving happiness.
By giving, okay.
So it's just the refined way. This is what he's prescribing here.
Okay. But still, looks like in the I cannot express it.
Okay, keep it to yourself then. Mohini.
I will try better.
Pranams Babaji. You mentioned Anati Avidya. Could you please explain what exactly is that Anadi Avidya? And parallel to Anadi Avidya, there is also Anadi Vidya. So what kind of knowledge is this Vidya coming from Sattva Guna? Is Vidya in Bhagavad Gita, there are in few verses explained by Krishna that all this is Vidya. Is this Vidya coming from a Sattva Guna?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So let's move to Nyaya.